This is Entervoid.com's VCast. Entervoid is the world's premier comics battling website. It's a place for artists of all skill levels who love comics to hone their skills through competition and collaboration. Check us out on Entervoid.com. This episode was recorded on February 23rd, 2019.
What was that sound, though?
Hi everyone, and welcome to VCast.
This is a place where you start sweating the moment we review your comic, as I've noticed.
This is Pyrasterran.
And I am Astrodile.
With us today are Camel.
This is a really good cold open. What's up? It's Camel.
And Shen.
Yeah, we can't beat that.
Yeah, we don't got one of those.
We weren't prepared like you guys.
Today we're going to be reviewing the big election battle royale event. What have you guys thought about the event overall?
Well, have you seen my dick?
You know, I was going to say the exact same thing, actually. You know, it's kind of...
I've been campaigning for Buster Jones for the last two elections, and he did not disappoint.
That's true. He might not, you know, it's like, you might not win the battle, but you won the war, you know? Yeah.
We're going to get right into the comic reviews, but before we do that, we're going to have another Entervoid interview for you guys to listen to.
Wait, shit, really? Oh god, I didn't think we'd had one. God.
Sick.
This one is with Golden, and we'll be talking about Elijah and Sukri.
Yay!
Awesome.
They are so good. Best couple.
So we'll catch you guys at the end of it. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time out to have this interview with us, Golden.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
First thing I want to ask is, how does it feel to be one of the only members in Entervoid to have a character die and come back in the same exact year?
Honestly, I'm so glad I was able to do such a thing, because I was gunning for having not lost them at all, of course. But once I did, I was like, okay, no, I gotta buckle down. I gotta get them back. I need my children.
Some of the newer members we have may not notice, but actually only one of the two characters of Elijah and Sukri belongs to you, and the other one belongs to a friend who gave you permission to use them on the site. Could you give us the origin of the characters, where they came from before they came into Void?
Yes, it was actually about 7 years ago, and I met one of my dearest friends, and we actually, it was all her. She made a RP group on DeviantArt called Sands of Kashan, and she worked so hard on this RP group, and I just fell in love with these characters so much, and we've been friends ever since then, and then just decided to keep working on them, even though the RP group kind of ended. Mm-hmm. And we just kept up their story, kept building them up, kept giving them things to work with. So actually, it's all her work. Like, Elijah is solely hers. World is hers. I just have Sukri.
And I remember those old RP forums and RP stories back in the day.
Yup, man. I spent so long on there, and then the old days of the DeviantArt chat and everything, RPing, eventually led to Skype, eventually led to Discord, and now it's just everything RP related is there now.
So it's pronounced Elijah?
Yes, Elijah.
Okay, good to know. I think a lot of us have been pronouncing it as Elijah
yeah,
for a long time.
It's like, I think it's okay either way, Elijah, because her, she's actually, but like basically Elijah and Sukri are reincarnations of sort of our first rendition of characters, Alicia and Sue. So like that was like the very first time that rendition of this couple existed.
Oh, I see. So you gained success with Elijah and Sukri by telling a story in a completely different place, an alternate world from the usual urban environment that Void's used to. Was that your idea from the start, to work with that world that your friend created?
Yes, completely. Like, I mean, I could probably put them into Void, but I've always wanted to show off the hard work that my friend has done on that world.
Mm-hmm.
So it just like I had to put them in Kashan and just be like, hey, this is where they're from. This is their world. This is what happens here. Because I love that world, and I feel bad that the DeviantArt group kind of ended, but I can still pay tribute to it through my comics.
Yeah, there's definitely a personal touch to the comics that everyone can feel.
Oh, so glad.
So as soon as the results for Speed Death Tournament finale came out, you were already making the big, bold declaration to the world that your next goal was going to be winning Speed Resurrection Tournament, and you definitely delivered in that regard. Were there any lessons from Speed Death that you took into Speed Resurrection to help make sure that you could win?
It wasn't so much as making sure I would win, but I was going to try my absolute best, because I knew a lot of people had characters that they adored, and I adore my characters too. Like, I couldn't not give them the best that I had to offer. Even with all of my health problems that really took a toll on Speed Death Tournament, like I was in and out of like a whole bunch of health problems. Still working on those now, but it's more manageable. I know how to like actually take breaks now, because before I was just trying to work through the pain and ended up making myself like in a much worse place. I learned how to pacing my stories better, because before I would hardly make what do you call it, scripts. I hardly make scripts. I usually will draw out thumbnails and in itty bitty letters do text as I just think about it and go. That's not a good idea. Planning was a much needed lesson that I had to learn, because like it just took its toll when I would not know what to do during Speed Death Tournament. I'll just be like, oh God, I have no way to go. I didn't think about this. I didn't plan this out. This doesn't make sense. So once Speed Resurrection came around, it was much easier. I'm like, okay, plan this, intro, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. I always had those. I always did those. I gave each opponent a very significant role this time, because I felt like I did it somewhat of an injustice to like during Speed Death. I didn't use my opponents to their full potential, and that's always a thing for me. I always want to make sure my opponents have a very good role. Mm-hmm. Just to like, because that's what it's about. You're facing somebody. You can't just throw someone else's character to the back burner, even if you want to tell a story. You got to make your opponent important to the story, and not just have them do, oh, I'm here suddenly and now I am gone.
Yeah, it's a very good lesson for a lot of us to keep with. Out of the comics that you were able to complete, which ones were the most challenging for you?
Let's see. Out of the ones I completed, I'd say it was the Speed Resurrection, the final round, because I was that was 20 pages. I honestly wanted to color it, but I soon realized I would not be able to do that. I'm not Monday who can dish out 24 colored pages in a week, and I admire that strength of theirs. But I tried my best to make a not too long of a story, but just like telling that story within the parameters I set for myself, and while still having to go to work and deal with my health problems.
Yeah. Which one of the comics were your favorite?
The favorite out of everyone was honestly it's a tie, because even though it wasn't completed, I did like my finale for a Speed Death Tournament. Mm-hmm. I really liked because I'm not confident when it comes to colors, So the fact that I broke out of my comfort zone to try and do that coloring was like one of my biggest things. Like for the pages that do look completed, I feel proud of them. I'm still not confident in my colors, but I'm trying to work towards making more colored comics this year. And then another one is the resolution for Speed Resurrection Tournament, because I poured out all of my feelings for those two when they met back up. Like I was like, I have to show the biggest Disney kiss scene that I can possibly manage.
Yeah, you definitely
I was like,
that.
Yay!
Were you able to face everyone that you wanted to face, or were there some characters that you wish you'd gotten a chance to have a go at?
I honestly wanted to rematch Cutie Mark. I wanted him to meet back up with Sukri somewhere in the underworld and have this big old thing. And I also wanted to honestly fight Fear, but that didn't get to happen. But man, I had so many plans for Cutie Mark and Fear. And I think there was one other person, but I know those two were I was gunning for them, and I got neither. I was like, okay, I'm going to work with these still incredible opponents that I got, but I gotta like rethink. I would say like Dr. Princess. I didn't expect her at all, but I was glad that I got her.
Yeah, that's a very fun character, that one.
Yeah, and I'm honestly glad I got Tammy and Dinah and the girl, and because the fact that Tammy is a god herself, and what led up to Elijah being a god too, I was like, that's good. I like this. I can work with this completely.
Yeah. Which were your favorite comics out of either of the tournament from any of your opponents, or any of the other people who fought?
At either tournament, I really liked Ruin Wormwoods. I love Neen's style a lot, and just like the soft comedy that she has going on, like when she fought Silent Protagonist, and the ode to to just basically Link breaking pots wherever he went. It was like that was like one of my favorites. And I do like Fears. I like Raffle Q's work that he does with Fear. I think that's one of his better characters, and I like every direction he goes with Fear.
Yeah, Fear's really interesting. So, winning a Void tournament, for some people it's seen as a form of graduation, that you're good enough to go out there and do something professionally. How do you feel about that? Are you going to be sticking around with us a little longer?
I will indeed. Though that seems like graduation for me, I still feel like I have a long ways to go. I've yet to fully complete a colored comic. I have yet to make a BB that I'm satisfied with. So I have these goals I've set for myself that I want to complete personally before I consider myself even ready for graduation, quote unquote.
Right. So, Elijah and Sukri won awards for both Best New Character and Character of the Year. It's clear that people love the pair and they want to see more of them. Can we expect more from those two coming forward?
Yes, indeed. I'm actually working on a script right now for a BB. It's probably going to be in a few parts, but it's like the aftermath of everything. Since if you remember the finale, Sukri's not all that human anymore.
Right.
So it's going to be exploring that and how he feels towards all the things that have happened.
Nice. And some fans want to know, you brought this up earlier, if we'll ever see a comic where Elijah and Sukri are actually in Void City proper. Is something like that may happen in the future?
It might. I think I would probably do that more as a collab rather than on my own, because I'm so dead set on the alternate universe with them. Mm-hmm. But if I had someone who wanted to make a story with them being in Void, I could totally do that.
Cool. Any insights or advice you can give to others who hope to have a good tournament run in the future?
For tournament runs, I think, because what I tend to do is use old characters that I've always been attached to but never got a chance to shine. So instead of making a completely new character, I usually just go have a character that I'm attached to, that I've had a story with, but never got a chance to use it. That way, you have more of a bit of a drive. You know what the character reacts to, kind of thing. You have a better connection rather than a person that you freshly baked this morning, and it's like, okay, but how would they react to this situation? If it's hard, if that question's harder to answer, then it's just, it makes for a more difficult comic making, at least for me. Like just having a more backstory to them is what makes it easier for me to like know what direction to go into, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. Golden, thank you very much for this interview.
No problem.
And we hope to see more from you sooner rather than later.
I hope I can get that done too. By God, these health problems keep popping up.
Please stay healthy.
I will try.
And we're back.
Hello. That was a great interview.
Yes.
I was totally there.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I like the part when you guys talked.
Yeah.
That was my general.
That was a good part. We're going to get started with the election Royale comics, starting with Sumi's side. Here comes the recap. On a smog-covered day, the 6 candidates of New Void City's latest mayoral election have an open public panel to discuss their platforms and ideas for the city. Among these is Sumi Watanabe, the gentle giant of a woman who has shown to have been an influence both big and small throughout Void City for years. As the city watches from the crowd and their screens, the candidates show off their skills, or lack thereof, to inspire the people. Through each topic of discussion, Sumi stands strong with compassion, rationality, and her benign charm that makes people, regardless of their alliances, can't help but root for her. The panel is cut short when a sniper false alarm causes a brief panic. It's at this moment that the city is reaffirmed of the kind of person Sumi is, as her first instinct is to shield the public with her own body.
Okay. Jump in, right in. Taylor, Sumi. I really think like out of all these comics, the writing for this comic in particular was actually my favorite. Because as I said, a very long critique. I really enjoyed how this like comic, like I feel like this comic kind of really summarizes Sumi's character and kind of like takes everything that she's experienced and all of her interactions with others and kind of like puts it in a little like nice bow tie and really like cuts to like really shows that she has made an effort in this city. Like as a newcomer to Void, whenever I think of Sumi, like the first thing I acknowledge is like the fact that she's dying. Like it feels like that is her main trait, you know, like her eventual death. But with this comic, it really feels like, you know, hey, to Sumi, and, you know, hey, you should check it out because she knows all these people and she has an influence on all these other characters. And she's also running for mayor. Like, it shows that even, like, that there's more to her that I now want to read. Like, this comic got me more invested in her character and kind of, like, wanting to read her archives to understand, like, what's up with her. So certainly I can say, like, on a very good note, that the writing here I love the most. Not gonna go in depth with the critiques here because I already did, but in terms of writing, I just want to say that I do feel like Kush Kush did not really get enough love, and in terms of visuals, I feel like you did really strong here with just focusing on your line art. Except sometimes the bodies can be a little more on the weaker and rushed end. And also sometimes the composition of characters can feel really flat. Like if I don't feel the distance in certain panels, such as the one where they all rush in to cover Sumi, that specific panel felt really flat in composition rather than one that shows the depth and the distance of how they're actually pushing her back and she's being thrown. It just kind of feels like she's really small and everyone else is really big. But overall, gotta say that this is a pretty solid comic, and I haven't voted yet, but I hope Sumi wins. Yay! This is a goodie.
Yeah. Man, this was a dense comic. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Was that me or Astro?
I don't know, but it's gone now. Let's ignore it.
It's like a zombie. Okay.
You stole the word I was going to use, and now I have to think of a different word for dense.
All right. Well, I'm using it. Yeah, this is a very dense comic in a good way. I really feel like out of all the comics in this tournament, this one was so like. I really felt like I was in the Void City. It was so full of colorful characters, like so many cameos. Like I just had a smile like the entire time. It really felt like Taylor really captured what it would be like to live in Void City if you were just, a regular citizen. I didn't know a ton about Sumi beforehand. I went back and read a lot of her comics. I mean, I'm familiar with, but I think as someone who's never seen the character before, like a hypothetical person, this is such a good intro to like, their plight and their just like really generous nature, like kind, mellow. I definitely, if in a hypothetical situation in which I'm voting for someone, I gotta vote for Sumi just on a charm base, and I loved it. I was looking for a big word, but I'm gonna go for a small one. I love this comic, and I have to agree with Astro on the line art being the strongest aspect. I think my only art critique is I wasn't a huge fan of the smog effects overlapping the line art. Because the line art is so strong, when a smog kind of overlaps it, I don't know. Personally, I like the lines to be clear and crisp always, and that did kind of make it look a little muddled. And but other than that, this was fantastic.
Oh, this was a lot of comic. But it was a really good comic too. It, like everybody else was saying, it really does a good job of introducing Sumi as to like potential new readers. It recaps a lot of the things she's done, a lot of the people she knows, who her friends are, who her enemies are, what her condition is, what her personality is. It just makes her look really good, but also I really like a lot of the points that were made in the debates too. And it's the most politically charged, I think, of most of the other election comics. It's the one that seems most like an actual debate, which I appreciate a lot in terms of the context of this event. My biggest complaint is that it does go on a bit. I feel like a lot of the points probably could have been summarized a little more concisely. You probably could have a bit here and there and still had the same impact, so that it's not quite as much of a novel. So while it is definitely a good story, I would maybe have someone proofread your next script and see if maybe we can cut some of it down a bit so that you don't have nearly as many pages to draw, for one thing. Not that you did bad, because you did great. The line art is amazing. Been less stressful if we'd cut some of it, trimmed some of the fat from the start with. But other than that, it's one of my favorites for, in terms of an actual political candidate. So,
yeah, Otaku Taylor, this comic was a lot of fun to read. Admittedly, it's a little intimidating to get started with. We're not used to having such verbose comics on the site lately, since people tend to push or want to run for a quicker pace, simply to not have to deal with the problems of the deadlines to begin with. But it's appreciated that you went through the trouble of trying to make a verbose comic, and one that's really well written. I agree that it could run a little long sometimes. As awesome as the show of working with the tune logic was, I don't know how much that really put into the comic, other than give us another example of Sumi's ingenuity. By the way, I know Sumi says that she's not getting smarter, but I think that's a bold-faced lie. As far as most of the recent comics are concerned, she's shown incredible emotional intelligence, incredible rational thinking and logical thinking about scenarios. everything about her has shown that she's just a better person, not just emotionally, but intellectually than most people on Void. I swear she's getting smarter.
Fuck yeah, everyone's stupid.
Well, hold on.
Yes?
I was saying, well, hold on to everyone's stupid, because I think my guy's pretty smart.
Oh, okay. But, yeah, it's a shame that because the comic is so long, you weren't able to really complete it, put in some black spots to fill in the characters. Like, Conway feels a little empty, despite how much care you put into some of Conway's panels. He feels a little empty without the black to work with his toon body. And the smog, I was waiting for the smog to play a role in the story since it was so prevalent, but it didn't. And I don't think anyone mentioned it either, if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure what the reason was for having that there. I think your line art is strong enough that you didn't have to cover it with smog.
Part of the smog, I guess I personally didn't have a problem with it because it was used in the whole thing with the fire users, where it's like, oh look, you cleared up the mist. But also at the same time, I can really like understand what you mean about how it's confusing why the mist was there.
Oh, so
and especially
they do refer to it.
Yeah. Sumi's
Okay,
like,
my mistake then.
Sumi's like, well, all the fire users, please stand up, and then they all use their fire powers, and then she's like, oh no, oh look, the mist, wow, that's great, vote for me.
Okay, I missed that part. My apologies.
No worries. And
Wow.
I don't know. I think it was also sort of relevant to the sniper as well, since cleared up the fog, and then like you could see, and then someone was like, and then Harold was like, "Oh my God, it's a sniper!" And then, etc., etc.
Gotcha. Thank you.
He picked a halfway decent texture for the fog, though, actually, because I remember he was talking with me before, trying to find a good, effect, like the right brushes or the right overlays or something. Which I think was the better of the ones that he showed me.
Yeah, it definitely looks like fog. Like, there's no mistaking what it is, which
Right.
is good because it takes so much of the panel space. So, one quick thing I want to say, very, very minor, but on page 3, when it's introducing all the candidates in those long panels, and then the final one is Sumi, and she's like holding up hers. I thought that was so brilliant. I don't know, that was a little thing, but I was like,
Yeah, that was really
a
cute.
cool little touch. Really cute, and also kind of ties into a personality later for being like an atlas holding up, all of her
Oh.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, congratulations, Otaku Taylor. It's a great read.
For Sumi.
For Sumi.
Yes. Vote to me. Vote for me, actually. But Sumi rhymes with it. So,
We're going to move on now to Casino Reasoning's comic.
Oh baby.
Oh gosh.
It's a good comic.
To those who don't want to hear dick talk, just skip like 30 minutes, I guess.
For those who don't want to hear TikTok, don't talk to me. Who doesn't want to hear that, dude? It's the best thing we talk about on this freaking podcast.
If you're not here for dicks, why are you even talking to me? I shouldn't know you.
Why do you want Void if you're not here for the dicks? That's
Oh, stop! You're gonna alienate Desi.
I'm sorry, Desi. Hold on. No, Desi, please don't leave. You're our lifeblood.
Desi, don't leave.
Yeah, please don't leave. We actually need you.
Yeah, seriously.
Here comes the recap.
Good luck.
A scandal has rocked the New Void City mayoral election. 5 of the 6 candidates were caught in a single sex tape having an extremely raunchy orgy. As the news media machine grinds its gears with the topic, the sole candidate that did not participate, Buster Jones, has only one question. Why on earth wasn't he invited?
I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I can't wait to hear like the recap. And what's playing in my head is that one fucking Kanye West song where he's like, I'm a big fuck, I like my dick sucked.
I gotta say, you really recapped that so cleanly and like it did. I wouldn't even expect it to be an NSFW comic. I'm like, oh, it's just a scandal. And then you click.
My.
Oh my! Ooh.
All my recaps are safe for work.
I'm
Good, thank God. Okay, into Chris. I just want to say, I read like all these comics in like one sitting at like, like 12 p.m. Kind of woke up. I'm like, oh hey, they're up. Let me just read them. As soon as I got to Casino Reasoning, I think that's the only comic where I actually like physically gasped, and I was like, am I a crackhead? Am I just hallucinating? And I kept reading, and I was like, no, this is real. Like this comic actually shocked me, and it like the shock was the hook, and it kept going, and I didn't get to see his dick, and that's it.
I was a little miffed.
Yeah, I'm very miffed. But this was comic.
Undeniably, this was a comic for sure. We could say
this was a comic.
It had panels. Yeah.
I just want to say in terms of critique that Harlow's tail disappears after the first panel. And also, why am I looking at this? I have to.
You're studying your panel, looking for little minor tweaks.
Literally, I was sitting here in the beginning of the VCast, like, okay, what can I find? And it was like Harlow's tail, and then like, oh, penis, dick, right there. But my only other thing of mention is that the scarred part of like Smiley's body, I feel like it could use a little more oomph because it has certainly that like ragged texture going, but I would have liked it if you could have darkened the skin or even lightened it to show how burnt flesh really looks after like a certain degree of burning, where it is completely crispy or it has healed over and it is paler than the original skin tone. And that's the only other thing I have to say with a straight face, because like, look, it's a comic. It's a comic. Have you seen my dick? Have you seen my dick? And that's really all I can say.
That's good. I realized something because I've been rereading this comic probably 14 times since we've been talking about it. This comic is literally a cock tease.
It is.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little miffed. Like, hey, you're gonna deliver the goods so hard in these first couple panels, and then you're not gonna show me what's going on underneath in the undercarriage. Come on. Although I mean, from what I could see, it's pretty good. I liked guys gets Robo Dick. It's pretty good, interesting stuff. Cum Explosion, which is that's cool. I don't know what to crit. It's I like the colors.
You're gonna get fucking censored.
Colors are actually like colors are good. I would have maybe a little more shading and like to make it seem a little more sensual. And I guess my only other thing is it's not really a crit, but I just want to know who the cameraman was or camera woman, because that could be some sort of angle, like who leaked this,
Right.
So I just want to say, we're doing this podcast, and I think if I ever try to run for office, literally, there's a copy of me saying "Cum Explosion" somewhere on my phone, which I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I was just describing what I was seeing. I don't know what to say, but yeah, okay. Woof. All right.
This absolutely no fucks, and I love it. You just draw whatever you want. Is this an election? No. The only election thing about it right now is that octopus person. They kind of have my vote right now.
Yeah, I kind of got to go with the octopus person. They have a good platform. They're talking about policy. Yeah.
I like the colors. I've been campaigning for Buster Jones for years, and this is what you deliver. And I am not sad. I am going to still vote for Buster Jones. For this comic.
Oh man.
Good job. I love it.
Fantastic.
I'm not sure if it's currently Fred 2.0 or literally the devil or whatever your current screen name is. This was hilarious, and that's all I have to say about it. It's
Well, you're not gonna go in depth. What's your favorite body organ that happened? I mean, I put my life on the line here. Like, geez.
this was a terrific comic. I like that it's complete, because I think when you make complete looking work, it looks great. Now that's sort of a cheat because it's also a really short comic, but it delivers. Well, it sort of delivers. It didn't quite deliver at the end.
It delivered something.
It teased.
You could say the comic was edging.
I'm gonna scream.
That's all, folks.
Truly. Pack up your bags, y'all.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're done. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Podcast's over. All right. We need more comics.
But yeah, great work. Don't ever change.
Yes.
We're gonna move on now to Harlow Ironlock's comic.
Hold on. You didn't even ask if we could have an additional end note compliment from Fred.
Oh, do you have anything left you want to say?
Yeah. I don't.
Oh.
I don't.
You just want to have the option. It's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
You want to know you're free. Yeah, that's good. Illusion of free will. I appreciate that.
I see. Okay. All right. Harlow Ironlock's side. This is Arts and Goodies. I think their first go into a tournament.
Yes.
One of our newest members and who's been on the show several times.
Mm-hmm.
This comic really stressed them out, but it honestly wasn't really that awful at all. I'll say right now.
Yeah, it was good. Very good.
I'm going to go into recap right now. Early polls are showing that newcomer Harlow Ironlock is winning the votes of the people of New Void City to be their next mayor. Even after an illicit sex tape was revealed, Harlow owning up to it only made him more popular and got everyone talking about his ideas and his campaign. Buster Jones and Conway are incensed at the reversal of their expectations, especially since Conway was the one who leaked the video. Cooch Cooch is so demoralized by the latest poll he decides to drop out altogether to just spend more time with his daughter. Sumi spends another night in the hospital, lamenting how her health has prevented her from a stronger participation in the election. Meanwhile, the Smile colludes in the shadows with dark forces as they witness the latest turn the election has gone. And with it looking like Harlow will be the one to win by a landslide, the young scientist prepares new tech he plans to introduce to the world upon his mayorship, including a mysterious new ammunition, the REM bullet.
So, Art, I've been helping you out here and there with this comic, and I can honestly say with each comic you're certainly improving and you're certainly making the effort. I know that this comic in particular was very, very taxing for you. I'm super sorry for that, but I also hope that with this comic you can also at least kind of look at it and kind of see how much effort you're willing to put in, not to just competing in attorney, but also just to improve your sequential art skills and improving how you interact characters with one another, and just improving in general your art skills, be it visually or in writing. I really do think that with each comic that you get better each time, and certainly this comic is currently the pinnacle of your improvement with comics. In terms of critique, I would, how do I say this? Because I don't want to, how do I say this? No, I'll focus on the writing, because visually, you're certainly growing, especially in terms of doing your anthropomorphic furry characters. You're certainly getting better at drawing characters such as Harlow, especially. And, since the improvement is clear to me, I don't really want to pry upon it, because I just think it's good progress for me. But in terms of writing, I do want to say, this has been mentioned in the comments before, but it really does feel like everything is going Harlow's way. And even though there is this whole thing where it's like his sex tape got leaked, he is able to use that to his advantage, per se. It feels like he has all these assets and all these things, like he has a lot of skills, and everything is constantly going his way. So where's the downfall, right? Like I want to see Harlow mess up. I want to see, even despite Harlow being this fanatic, like prosthetic fanatic who is like an intellect in terms of medical technology, biotechnology, and just technology in general. I want to see what it looks like when his works fail. I want to see his reaction to failure. I want to see him struggle a little bit more, because it really feels like he looks at other characters not as characters per se. He kind of looks at them like they are there, and he focuses on his own goals, which isn't really a bad thing in itself, but it gets harder to relate to Harlow and to really enjoy his character if we're only getting kind of just the icing on the cake, where he's just so oriented and on robots and all this. I want to see more of him explored in a negative way. Like I know we joke about the Niles poisons Harlow, haha. But I really do want to see more of Harlow just having bad things happen to him, so he can actually develop more through your own work. Because he certainly seems like such a skillful character already, and you're utilizing these elements, but I want to see his skills grow when he fails, instead of him already having all of these assets and knowing what to do and being not only an excellent engineer, but an excellent speaker at wooing the crowd and persuasion. I want to see how he gains these skills. But otherwise, that is completely all I have. I'm really I legitimately am looking forward to what you do with Harlow, because he is certainly one of the more interesting characters in Void, especially besides his furry aspect, but just because of the characterization you're taking with him. So I cannot lie when I say I'm interested in where you are going to take the development of Harlow. And that's me.
So I have a response to Astro, so I'm going out of turn here, because I actually kind of enjoyed it for this particular comic that everything was going, Harlow's way. It's like he's sort of got a dumb luck power, and dumb luck power is sort of a fun thing to, play with too. People tried to ruin him, people tried to murder him, he was able to get his way out of it. And in a comic where the stakes are on the line as big as an actual, election like this, you want to be able to put your character's best face on. I do agree that it is fun to watch characters suffer. You want to see them struggle. You want to see them fail. You want to see them respond to failure. But I don't think it has to be in every comic either. I think if you're going to have a comic where everything does go their way, it's the one where they're trying to win an election. People tried to smear him. Right. They couldn't do it. They tried to kill him. They couldn't do it.
That's true.
And he's just smiling the whole time. He's like, there's these bad things going on, but I'm going to get out of it because I'm just and then he's making bullets, and that's weird, and I can't wait to see where that goes too. So there's a lot being set up here that I am interested in. I don't mind seeing him, just winning right now, because this is the sort of comic where he should be winning if you want to take this particular championship title. I'm sorry, I just went full wrestling nerd there.
do it in a Vince McMahon voice.
I don't think I can.
You are. I can't do it. I'm not even trying.
I know I can't do Vince McMahon, but art-wise, I think this is actually a big improvement from a lot of the comics I've seen from you in the past. I know you were struggling and fighting with this one, and it was giving you the hardest time, and you were getting depressed. But I feel like your efforts in a lot of capacity paid off. I really like the grayscale. I think you work with the gray really well for highlighting what needs to be highlighted and putting in shadow what needs to be put in shadow. That your draftsmanship needs a little more work, but that's why we're here. We're going to help you out. We're going to get you better because you're already improving. I love your expressions. The whole scene between Conway and Mary just cracked me up. Their expressions and the gestures were very toony, and I can tell you went overboard with it, and I enjoyed that immensely. So I liked the story, and I liked the art, and I think this was an excellent comic, and I think you did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll just add, I think as well. You're really improving. This is a great improvement over your last comics. And I wanted to say specifically, I thought that scene with Sumi in the hospital room was like really emotional, and like some really good writing of, to kind of capture that character. Like I got some feels off of that. I was like, damn, because she is, in a way, kind of a tragic character with her illness, and so that little, I think, the same thing with Taylor's comic, where it's like capturing everyone's sort of spirits very well. I thought he did a pretty good job of this. It definitely wasn't as giant as his comic, but getting a good thumbnail sketch of everyone's problems and like personalities. Yeah, I thought this was really solid.
Yeah, arts and goodies. It can't be stated enough that your effort in this comic it shows really strongly. This is probably the best comic you've made so far. I think there is a certain level up you've had in here. We can tell you're using references now to help you out with your poses. That's a good step in the right direction. Some of the stuff here actually looks good, even beyond what you might consider your own skill set. Like the face you did for Mary Softshoe is iconic at this point, literally.
It's very good.
Your story is surprisingly well crafted for a new artist that's going into comics. Like the others have said, you've got comedy, you've got suspense, you've got drama, you've got some heart, and I think that you really, I really hope that you listen to this, and I really hope that you come to appreciate and take pride in this comic, because it really is a milestone for you. Does anyone have anything else to add?
Yes.
Vote for Harlow. I'm sorry, I was reading Conway. Can I start over? Don't put that in the thing.
Okay.
Don't put that in the thing.
Vote for Conway.
Vote for Conway.
Vote for Harlow.
Vote for Conway.
Okay, I just want to throw in one more thing in like response to Shen's statement to mine, which is like, once you've said that, like, now I do agree. Like, how do I say this? Like, it's not like I'm like, ooh, you're completely right, let me throw away my opinion. But I'm also like, now that I think about it, especially in terms of this election royale, like, Shen is completely right, where it's supposed to be Harlow is showing his best face, and certainly, like, he did. So major props to that. And I just wanted to like respond to that, because like, yes, but also vote for Harlow.
Vote for Harlow.
For Harlow.
Vote for Harlow.
Vote for Harlow over every other candidate.
We're going to move on now to Kush Kush, written by Nothing. Here comes the recap. In an impromptu television announcement, Kush Kush takes the stage to declare that Void City sucks, and the whole election is rigged. He passionately points out the glaring flaws of every single candidate, then breaks down into tears at the sheer pointlessness of it all. At this awkward juncture, Kush Kush's daughter picks up the mic from the stand and diligently asks the public to vote.
You know what? My vote is sold. I'm in it.
By Lapping's cuteness.
I know. I think I want to vote for her specifically. But
Lapine for mayor.
like this comic, I just read it and I was like, aw, poor dude. But poor dude, I just can't get over it. Like him crying makes me like want to cry. It's so sad. Why doesn't he just leave the city? Just pack up your bags. Just can't.
Go to Portland. Go anywhere.
I know. Just get out of here.
It sucks, man. It's not. Void has to be pretty expensive. I mean, except for the old dogs. But...
Go to Sunset City. They got beaches.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they have a son. Isn't that amazing? But I know that Nothing, your goal was to participate in like every event that happened in 2018, and you succeeded on that, and you even joined in on this one, which took place in 2019, and you did that. So super congrats to you. Please help Kush Kush. Is he okay? Does he need to talk? I'm here for him. But this is the end note of the little daughter being like, "Vote please," is very cute, and this was it was a refreshing read amongst all of these very beefy comics.
Yeah, it's cute. Good line art. I love Koosh Koosh. I know it's just like a cute little. Not much to it. Just I will say that it shows how much I love Sumi when he's like she's dying. I was like, hey man, we're all dying, all right. I was a little insulted on behalf of my favorite person ever. But yeah, I just cute and funny, and I love his daughter so much. She made my heart melt.
Short and sweet. I feel bad for Koosh. He doesn't seem like he actually wants to be here. Like maybe he was talked into running for mayor, or he just lost hope in the political system. It's just his hopes and dreams are just dashed. What happened? Are you okay, Koosh? But Lapine is just a breath of fresh air, and I love seeing her in every comic. It's just the big page of why nobody else should vote for everybody else, all of the other candidates. It is funny. It's like, yeah, I suppose that's all true. You're probably one of the most normal ones here.
Yeah, it's definitely undeniable that we can't argue with that.
So I hope that if you do not win, Koosh, you get to take a nap and go on a nice little trip with Lapine because you look like you need a break. Cute line art. Love the inks. Love the way you draw. Love your very toony style. Koosh Koosh, because Lapine said so.
Nothing. So, this comic is extremely short, but even being so short and even having so few panels and so little technically happening, you still were able to deliver an entertaining and surprisingly a little deep of a comic for us to read. And I don't know how long it took you to make it. I know there have been times where you're running the clock and you pull out something really quick, but in similar situations, those little quick things that you pull out are still entertaining as well. I think this is a great show for other artists to see that you don't really need to break your back working on a comic to make something that people are going to enjoy. You just have to have a neat concept.
Vote for Koosh.
Vote for Koosh. Didn't Koosh run last year?
Yes.
Big Conway, yeah.
I gotta say, like, for someone who hates the city, you're sure running a lot, huh?
We're gonna move on now to Conway's side, drawn by Karmalarma. Here comes the recap. Fresh out of jail, with new campaign manager Mary Softshoe on his side, Conway is ready to make a splash with the voters as they enter a building where all the candidates are being individually interviewed. But things take an unexpected turn, as they're wont to do in this city, when the building is surrounded by anthro activists, rioting and ready to tear the building down to avenge the attempted government-sanctioned genocide of the furry community in the past. Many of the candidates try to talk the crowd down to no avail. Only Conway is able to pacify the crowd, because being a toon, he too has felt oppression under the Void City government for simply existing. He promises to fight for the little guy, and his passionate speech finally calms the crowd long enough for the police to arrive to break up the riot. But a misplaced coin flip by Buster Jones causes the building to collapse anyway. Exiting the hospital, Conway realizes he might actually have a knack for being a good person.
Okay, so I have a question, and it's where's my date with La Bamba? You know, like I've been kind of waiting for it.
I had a feeling that was going to be a question.
Yeah. Come on, please. I saved my vote. So I do want to say that of the writing in all of these comics, like I do have a particular love for the event that went on, the writing that went on in Sumi's, but I also just as much love the writing that goes on in this comic because it specifically focuses itself on a event that has sort of kind of died out to newcomers, such as me, like I didn't really know that like the anti-furry thing was really a thing until like Discord. But I do like your revival of it and focusing on it in this specific comic. And I also do like how you used the furry revolution instead of having it be purely to Conway's advantage by having it be a toon revolution. I like how it's like he has to have himself relate to a crowd that isn't necessarily related like to him being a toon. He has to like make up something on the spot and it works. And I also really do like the ending where it's like Buster misplaced coin blows up the building. I really enjoyed that part too. And in terms of like visuals, all I have to say is like I do enjoy, and I'm happy that you submitted the sketches that you have. And of course, like if you ever like really feel like it, not saying you have to, but if you ever like feel the need to finish up this comic, I would love to see it in the finished form because I enjoy the comics that you've been making and the art that you've been producing since you came back to Void. So this comic was nice. I really enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed the end note of Conway thinking that maybe he can do good. And I also like enjoy your art, and I'm glad that you submitted these sketches because even though they're just sketches, it is of what could have been a completely finished comic, and I'm just hoping to see more from you in the future.
Yeah, I think this comic really exemplifies this sort of note where it's like always show what you got, even if you don't think like, oh, it's incomplete, because even with these sketches, there's so much life in the poses and the framing that like I really get a very clear picture of what was going on in this comic, and like my imagination can fill in the gaps. And so I really came out with it. I really came out of the comic having had a good time. I think a little bit later on things get a little impressionistic. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, but I think overall I really get a clear sense of what your vision was, and I really enjoy that. I really like the writing. I loved Conway's jokes. I'm happy to see redemption for him, and yeah, I think this was a really fun little bout, and I love Mary.
Sorry, I had to reread it again. I didn't do my homework. Let's see. He's back. He is an enjoyable character. I love that you can still so clearly tell who is who, even these roughest thumbnails of sketches of differentiating everybody. I obviously wish that it had been finished, but mostly only so that we could have Conway for mayor. Because he seems like he might, actually be trying to reform and wants to genuinely care about the plight of the furries and the toons and the underrepresented. He's looking like he's trying real hard to get everybody out safe, okay, and vote for him. So I hope that you will come back and keep doing more Conway comics. I love the writing in this. I love the comedy. I love the drama. And I'm sure that I would have liked the art more, but I do like what you did turn in, and I'm glad you turned in anything at all, even unfinished, because that way we get the whole story, and I get to see how great Conway still is. So good job. Vote for Conway.
Carmelarma, it's a shame that you weren't able to finish. This would have turned out to be a really great comic. The writing-wise, it's on point. I feel like everyone gets a chance to shine in some manner, and it's really nice to see Conway's continued evolution here from the little Conman scumbag he used to be to this little toon Bernie Sanders that he's becoming, looking out for the little guys. I don't have much more I can say about it because it's not complete. But, stuff happens and we get that. Hope to see more from you in the future. And can't wait to see the next completed comic from you because anytime you have a completed comic, it always shines.
Let's talk about that furry revolution, eh? Is that gonna come back to life? Eh?
That should be the next Armageddon threat is furry revolution.
Interesting. Okay, we're gonna move on now to the final comic of Election Royale from The Smile.
Ooh,
And this one's a doozy.
this one's gruesome.
Here comes the recap. This year's Nevoid City election has taken a dark turn. Suddenly, the powers that be have decided to turn the final debate into a deathmatch on an empty island. The candidates, and one unlucky random citizen, are dropped on the island from parachutes, each given a random weapon. But an unexpected entry is hunting each one down from the shadows, taking a bloody trophy off of each of his victims as he carves a rampage across the island, leaving survivors and citizens wondering, how did the Smile end up on the island to begin with? Cut back to the hours before the flight, it's revealed that Buster Jones' seat has been taken by another unexpectedly. Buster argues with the airport staff as, in the distance, the Smile is being boarded onto the plane. Buster's powers of luck have unexpectedly saved him from a grisly fate.
Okay. I have notes this time. Yes. I know that Heathen, you wanted in-depth crits. I know that especially you wanted to know if your visual storytelling was a hit or a miss. I guess they never miss, huh? But
Yo, I gotta go. I gotta move away right now. You gotta hit to something. Other lyrics. Oh god.
okay.
Tired.
Okay, so I do want to say, in reply to your question, Heathen, was the visual storytelling a success? I want to say, with a very strong thumbs up, yes. I feel like if you took all of this, like personally, in my opinion, I think it was a success. If you took the speech bubbles out, you just take all the dialogue out, and you just showed me what was going on, and you just showed me these visuals, I feel like I could still grasp what was happening without the dialogue. Maybe I might have a few questions here and there if you gave us something without dialogue, but I would still be able to understand the gist because I understand the theme of your work and the theme that you perform with using Smiley. So knowing how you utilize Smiley in your comics and knowing how you utilize your storytelling elements, I can kind of register in my brain what you're trying to show to the audience here, and in particular me. So I can understand. But I do want to say, like, since I was so adjusted in terms of like seeing the dialogue that was happening in these comics, once we get to page 19 and 20, especially on page 20 where like Conway is clearly talking to Sumi, I almost said Taylor. I just got a little confused on the last two panels because he's gesturing, right? I don't know if he's gesturing towards the bush or if it's actually just the Smile, like, you know, from the Smile's point of view. Like, we're seeing him watch Conway do this whole like monologue thing and then he chokes him. So that's the only part where I got a little confused. But otherwise, like, I especially like the end note here where it's like Buster, even though he was frustrated that he missed his flight, it was thanks to Lady Luck. And I think because I know that I DM'd you that you were initially going to add another page in regards to that to give some better context. But either way, at the end, I could still, once again, your visual storytelling is a success. And maybe it is due to the help of the dialogue itself where I'm like, oh, this is just because of Buster's good luck that he is not on the flight, that he has actually survived. In terms of, I just have some critiques in terms of visuals, which is that it clearly looks like you're having a lot of fun drawing Harlow. Like, I feel like I can feel your enjoyment from making this comic when you are drawing Harlow, especially. But it does get a little confusing because your use of heavy lighting and the use of blacks as like shading can really make his facial pattern inconsistent. Like, there are a few pages where he has completely different facial patterns or I can't remember the particular page, you have to forgive me, but there's a page where his face is entirely blackened, and I'm like, that doesn't look like Harlow. And I also kind of, I guess it's just, it might be a me thing, but I get confused when you use the grays, right? Because sometimes it looks like you're using it for shading, and sometimes you're using it for atmosphere, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, like, I kind of enjoyed it because you can really get the depth of the situation at hand, such as when Kush is jumping at Harlow, and then, like, you know, they have this little thing going on. But sometimes it can get a little confusing, especially in situations where the use of grays is clearly not atmospheric and is just there for shading, but the direction of the lighting in these panels, like, if I were to assume where the light is from, that would cause these shadows, is slightly inconsistent. This is just like a minor nitpick for me. You can honestly take it one way or the other, because this was just something I noticed after kind of like staring at your comics visually. But all in all, I do have to say, to your question of was this a visually storytelling a success? Yes, your art is wonderful. It's very lovely to see a complete and full comic from you, and hoping to see more of your work on Void. I seriously am. I'm a fan. And that's about it for me.
Man, this is one of the most beautiful comics I've seen in a while. Like, I definitely could see this being an early contender for best monochromatic comic, 2019. I would disagree with Astro a bit. I thought that the sort of amorphous use of grays, I thought that was a plus, because, like, it's tough to get so much depth out of 3 colors. Occasionally a couple more colors. Like, there's certain panels where he delves a little bit more into like different colors, but generally, like, to get that much depth with just 3 colors is pretty astounding. All the characters look beautiful. The movement, the storytelling. I'm kind of packaging up front all of my praise, because I gotta say, I really was pretty disappointed with this ending. This whole comic it was like a thrill ride. It's like a roller coaster going up and up, and we see, oh my god, Smiles wearing Cush's head as a mask. He's, choking out Conway. This is great. And then the next page is a gag with Buster, and it's over. And I really wanted to see Sumi and Smile duke it out. I wanted to see more of that. Like, for the 2 most physically impressive characters for them to just, that whole angle to really end right there. I was personally pretty disappointed about that, and I thought having an end note of Smile, like, maybe standing upon, like, behind all their corpses, or like something gruesome with the level of awesomeness that was that skinned Harlow panel. I just feel like the ending was just kind of abrupt, and I would have preferred to push it a little more. I would have liked to see Smile being, the victor, as opposed to just me having to imagine him being the victor. But other than that, this is gorgeous.
Well, my crits are the same as Camel's, so I guess I will just say the same thing twice. I was a little disappointed with the ending. At the end, he killed everybody except Sumi was still there, and we were deprived of the epic showdown that in our hearts everybody wanted to see. And I know that probably would have taken like another 5 pages or something, but just having Sumi still be alive on the island kind of pulls back the punch a little bit of killing everybody else, except Buster, which was a good joke. I enjoyed that. But yeah, you owe me Sumi versus Smile. So, but anyways, besides that, the art is spectacular. Oh my god, I love it when you just go all out and you make the best comic you can. And I know that you have time constraints and everything, but like, I'm looking at this page again at the narrator station, I guess, where we find Kush, and it's just so well done with all the details. The very concept of, to heck with politics, let's have a death match. that is really interesting and creative. Like, I don't know why I didn't think that we could do that. You've got 5 opponents.
We should expect it. Yes.
I know.
That's how we solve every other problem on this stupid place.
I'm a little concerned that if you win everyone's dead?
Yeah, canonically, all those they didn't know they were entering a death match, but I
Right?
guess
And
they
we're
are.
in a death match, so Harlow's going to come back next comic, and he's going to have skin, so...
Literally, after
He should have no skin. That should be a scar match, and for the rest of Void history, Hollow he has no skin.
they call me No Skin Harlow. I bet you'd love to hear the story.
What's up, guys? It's Harlow No Skin here.
Literally, after reading the comic, I just want to say, I DM'd Pyrus. I was like, "Is this legal? Yo, is he allowed to legally do that?" But
Whatever you damn well please in a Void comic, as long as you have all your opponents in it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, you could do whatever you want. It doesn't affect their status. That's I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
They've all got a hit point left. They'll just full res.
Phoenix down.
Yeah. Just to clarify for those of you at home who are curious about this, the only thing that we're gonna take from the election that will continue for sure is who wins the comic is the new mayor. So you don't have to necessarily take the Deathmatch Island as 100% canon. You can take parts of it if you want. You could for your future stories, you can make it that there was a final island match that no one expected, and the smile came up on top of it, and suddenly he's a mayor. You can take that however you will, and I really hope that everyone actually takes all of these comics in some kind of canon, because all of these stories have something really special going on in them.
You want Fred's comic to be canon too?
Every single one of them has something special.
I personally, I would have to agree. I think Fred's comic should be the new Void homepage. When you click on Void, that should be the first thing you see to let them know this is what we're all about here at Void. This is our sort of our je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, but one of the things that I've tried to create with these themed battle royales like this one and like Gay Night and battle royales that are very similar in having a central theme like this is
Say Royale.
Huh? What?
Void's sexiest.
Is the idea that that all of these stories can be considered canon as separate events that are occurring in some chronological order that you can decide on your own. So we can, even if Artenguis loses this match, we can still move forward thinking about what he's going to be doing with his REM bullets. And even if Conway loses this match, we can still move forward with the event that happened there and think about what Conway's going to do with his life moving forward, etc., etc.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think don't let canon get in the good way of like building an arc, because you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can try your best to try to win or lose a battle, but you really can't control the canon. And I think sometimes people can like get too obsessed with it. No matter win or lose, you build with what you did if you really believe it's going to lead to something good. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
Can we keep the Death Island? I like the Murder Island. I like the
I
idea of
drawn
like,
a Murder Island. That's awesome. Why don't I ever draw Murder Island?
I like the idea of
I
Kush
wanna move
Kush
to Murder
hat.
Island.
But moving on to my review of the comic.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Big whoops.
You didn't do that yet.
Yeah. I agree that even if you were to remove all the word balloons here, you can very clearly figure out what's going on. And even with the last panel, even if there was no word balloons there, I could tell that was Buster Jones, and I could figure out what was happening and how he ended up not being on the island. And I will say that I'm okay with how it ends myself. I'm not disappointed. I'm okay with leaving some of the horror to the imagination, but that's just me. Visually, it's terrific. It's been a while since we've had a really visually strong comic from you, because you've unfortunately had several incompletes back to back. So it's great to see you just come up here out of nowhere and just show us all once again how powerful you actually are when you start going 100%. Great comic. A great creative way to use the election royale, and great comeback for the smile.
More gore. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm into the guts. I like it.
Wow.
Go for smile.
Go for smile and no one else.
Vote for smile.
And I'll know if you don't.
Congratulations to all 6 of you. I want to say this was a success all around. Even with the incomplete comics, everyone turned out something entertaining and enjoyable to read.
Hell yeah.
Yay. Good time.
We're going to move on now to a Beyond battle with Klep.
Yay.
Full
That
disclosure.
sounds like a cool character.
Full disclosure, this comic was written and created by our very own Camel right here.
I personally, I'm not sure who that is, but they sound handsome, so I'm excited.
Here comes the recap. We are given a glimpse into the tragic life of Klep, a collector of rare and magical trinkets. Living on the street, malnourished and alone, he wanders the city, disassociated even from his former companions. The only joy he can find is from new items, going so far as to steal them straight off the stands of stores he passes by. The joy is fierce, but fleeting, and then once again, he is alone.
Okay, so, visual storytelling. This was a strictly silent comic. Like, we talked previously about if we removed all the dialogue from Heathen's comic, would it be a success or not? I want to say specifically for this comic, where there is no dialogue at all, where we are dependent on the expressions and the actions of the characters, and especially on the facial expressions of the characters. I want to say that this comic was a big success, and perhaps maybe even my favorite comic from you. Like, this comic on the first read was so easy to grasp, like at a glance. Like, at least personally for me, your uses of color schemes was excellent in this, and I only have praise because I really do enjoy how you really utilized not only color scheme but facial expression and proportions in this comic and the composition. I just think all of this is entirely solid. Like, I think this is a wonderful work, and it was wonderful and also moving me as a reader. I don't really know Klep as a character. I haven't really had the time to particularly read back into his archives and see what's up, but I can say without a doubt that this is a comic that really gets me interested in his character and his kind of short-term passion that really can take too strong of a hold of him and cause him to break into a shop and to steal the item that he wants, and then he suddenly no longer has interest in it. I cannot deny that, like, those last 3 pages are my favorite. Critiques, I don't really have one. Someone already mentioned the comment section to kind of just tighten up the proportions on Jiko's face a little on that 3rd panel of page 3. I can also, like, one up that, and I also believe a little more oomph could be added, but that didn't really ruin the comic for me, because clearly, as you can tell, I'm just loving on it. Like, I love this comic, and this is like the comic that really shows how unique your style is on Void, and how unique your process is on Void too. And this comic for me is like me. What I'm saying here on VCast is me being like, bitch, please, I want to see more work. Please share more of your work. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely hope to see more from you in the future on Void. And if not in Void, then on the Discord, I hope you just share more of your art.
Well, I'm pretty sure I gave you this color palette, so you're welcome.
You did.
We had a whole conversation about red and green palettes, and people were saying it can't work because it looks too Christmas or too Italy or something. And I was like, no, I can show you that it can be done. And I just dumped a whole bunch of refs, and you were just like yoink on like all of them.
It changed my life, that palette. Like, thank you so much. I'm gonna mention that.
Really made it work though. Like, hot damn, when I saw that first page, I was like, first of all, I've seen that. Second of all, damn, you made that work. wow. Like, God, this combination of like the painted, coloring style on top of the sketchy line work is something that seems like it would be really hard to get right and not look disjointed from each other, but you were really able to nail it. On top of the fantastic way you use the colors, your cross-hatching and the way you use blacks is like top game on this site. Like every time I see a comic from you or a drawing you post in the art chat, the blacks and the cross-hatching and the shading is always like the best part about it. It's so good. So God, just like goals on those sorts of things. I would crit that you still seem to have ways, or you need a little more practice drawing women, because not just Chico but other comics that I've seen from you, that seems to be sort of a weak point comparatively. Else is just like amazing. I love this story. The second I read it, I was just blown away to sit back in my chair like wowzers. Yeah, so I just love the expressions and how you're just able to use the expressions and tell the whole story. And I feel so bad for Clep, and I want to pick him up off the street and give him a hug because he just looks so sad. I mean, I hope somebody takes you up on your open challenge.
Camel, this comic is perfect to me. It's beautiful. It grabbed me emotionally. The small issues that you have concerning human anatomy, female anatomy, most of the issues being with the third page. And I think concerning the third page, I think the last panel might have been stronger if you flipped it. So basically you flip the whole scenario so that people who are reading left to right, they see Chico and then look to the darkness. Other than that, the comic's perfect. I don't have anything else bad that I can say about it. All I can say is that I love it, and it's terrific, and I need to see more, and I want to collab with you, absolutely, someday. And you're just gonna have to start talking because I'm just gonna keep gushing.
Oh man, you guys are too kind. Wow. I thank you all for the kind words. This comic really was a real journey for me. I think I mentioned it in the comments. I started this 6 months ago, back in August. Or is that 7 months ago now? I'm not sure. But like I started this and I spent like weeks on each page, and then the third page came and I kind of just lost ambition. I started another semester at school, but it was always in the back of my mind, like, I really want to go in this this angle with Clep, and like, it's just sitting around on your computer, just finish it. And so I finally got off my ass and just churned out those last 3 pages, and I really do. I think it's my personal best that I've done so far, and I think I'll use this time to say, for anyone who has something lying around, if it's a comic, get off your butt and finish it, because it feels so much nicer when it's done. It's like dipping in a hot tub. It's like, it's off my mind forever,
Good advice.
Yeah, it's just that like feeling of relief when something is done, especially a passion project. So definitely, thank you guys, and definitely expect more from me with Clep for sure, unless I die.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can I? You see, I have a wonderful printer right here, and your art. I was wondering if I could just print it out and just eat it.
Listen, I know we're all friends here, but if you do that, I'm gonna have to get litigious and probably sue you, because that's IP theft. So
Look, it's not my fault. I just can't have it.
And honestly, since you said it and we're recording this, I think it's already a crime. I think and sorry, I gotta lay down the law. It's the retribution event. I gotta lay down the law. I gotta win some points for the blue. And you're welcome for helping win some points, Pyres. So,
Oh yeah, this. I want to keep talking about this comic, but I don't have enough words in my brain to keep talking about it. I am angry that it's not rating higher. It's got a good score, but it should be higher. And I'm angry at everybody who voted and didn't vote it higher.
Don't look at me. I haven't even voted on any of the comics yet. So just wait.
I haven't voted yet.
I spent 6 months on this. My self-esteem is down the toilet. No one's looking at it.
It's just
Wait till the last day on everything.
No, that's true. It's always like there'll be one comment, and then the last day it's like 50 comments because everyone's like, "Oh, shit!" Frantic sounds of typing keyboards.
Congratulations on this masterpiece, Camel.
Thank you. Wow.
We're going to move on now to the final comic of the night. This is an intro comic for a new character. This is from our very own Hellas, a character known as the Nomad, or Nomad. Here comes the recap. A powerful wolf spirit, known only as Nomad, has been ordained with an important task, to test and guide the half-wolves of the world with a higher purpose. But he needs a body. Nomad watches as a wolf pack slays a man lost in the wilderness. He leaps forth onto the scene and devours the heart of the man, taking its human form. The Nomad is now prepared for his mission.
So, Alice, a new character! Yay! Congrats on getting your character in! Yay! I'm definitely interested in how you take this character because, like, he's not a werewolf and he's here to criticize the other werewolves. So that'll be interesting to see.
To call me and Astro out. That again.
It's not my fault that my werewolf can't control herself. Just kidding. It is my fault. I just like that in the character. Okay.
No, werewolves can control themselves. That's the point of werewolves. Go ahead.
Be a wolf.
My God, we really are getting called out here, huh? It really just be like that.
We're putting you on. We're putting the shade on high. Werewolf weirdos.
Okay, but in terms of crit, I know that you were using this intro to practice your painting skills, which is really cool. So, my biggest crit here is use of atmospheric lighting, right? Because you have this orange glow that's happening on Nomad, and it's not really reflected in the environment. See, if there is an orange glow, that would typically mean that I would expect, at least, this is just me, like, I would expect the sky to also correlate with this strong orange color as well, and give me, like, orange warm hues. And I'm not getting that. I'm getting a sky blue. And then we have this scene where at the end, like, the orange lighting once again is like reflecting, and it even turns into a strong yellow when he is in his human form. And yet this use of warm colors is not reflected in the grass itself, which is actually a non-shaded pale green. It contrasts not too nicely for me, especially when you show such strong lighting and yet it's not reflected in the environment. Hell, the characters don't even have shadows. Like, besides the shadows that are on their body, I don't see these shadows on the grass itself. So I feel like you really could have tightened up on that. I am interested in where you're going to take him once again. I just feel like in terms of specifically color scheme, that this kind of it kind of just clashed with itself, because you have these cool colors going on in the sky and in the field, but then you have this severely warm lighting, which is the orange, and on the cliffs as well, and it just doesn't seem to reflect too nicely. But it's your first time it's not your first time, but you are using this to practice digital painting, which I can understand. So I can really understand if you can just brush this off by saying, I'm just kind of getting used to digital painting, and I'll be like, yeah, that's fine, completely understand. But overall, this was a very quick to it intro. It shows Nomad's character. I like the writing that goes on here, and I like this whole idea of him not being a werewolf and him being disgusted by other werewolves. And overall, I'm just looking forward to seeing more of him in the future.
For sure. I generally agree with everything you said. Definitely about the palette. I do think that the first panel is really well drawn. That's really beautiful watercolor looking landscape. I think I'm going to focus mainly on some of the uses of panel economy here. I think like definitely on the second page, I'll say I think your panel sizing is a little it's not giving focus to the things that are important, like, but mainly with the I guess the bottom half of page 2, that bird's eye shot is really cool. That's a really awesome shot. But the two very minuscule panels of the guy being ripped apart, I don't think they give a lot of weight to that violence. I personally would have made that into one panel, made it maybe a long panel on the right side, and going on to the third page. Like, I think you could make some of this action into maybe one panel, make it bigger, make it a little more dynamic, but I think that's just a skill that you learn by making more comics, and I definitely hope you keep doing that, because your characters are always really interesting and intriguing, and I really think out of all of the art in this comic, the final shot with his human form enveloped in darkness is really cool. Although I do say that I wish some of that darkness was present in the background. And my final note is just a little thing. I kind of find it funny that in like the span of 1 month, we've had 2 characters who eat people and transform into them. It's some sort of quota that we're all filling. I guess I should probably
serious thing right now.
Yeah, it's hot. It's what's in,
Where's your cannibalism character, Camel? Oh God, the alliteration.
Camelism. What do you think I've been waiting on? Klep is gonna start eating people, obviously.
That's the only logical direction.
See, I feel bad now because if I actually want to do that as an angle, I can't now because I made fun of it. God, what the hell, Shen? You ruined my character.
Welcome. To ruin characters. You saw what I did to Miller.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, so, Hellas, we should probably do practice runs on drawing werewolf bodies. It's all right. We're getting there. I know you've got some good ref. I'm a little confused on what his body type is supposed to look like if it's supposed to be more human looking or if it's supposed to be more, there's no digigrade legs going on. Floofy. But that's okay. It takes time. When I first designed Grease, it took like 4 comics to get a halfway decent looking werewolf. So I'm just letting you know, you'll get there. I don't colors. It's so bright and cheerful and kind of ruins the mood a little bit. Like, I know you're trying to go for a daytime scene and that's fine, but I feel like there's ways you can do daytime scenes and still have the atmospheric darkness that you're angling for. The brown is too brown and the grass is too green. I love the first panel. It is gorgeous. I feel like it might have been improved if you'd put some a tree line or some mountains in the background or something, but that's just me nitpicking. Most of all, I agree with something that Astro said, is that you need shadows underneath the characters, on the backgrounds. There's a lot of there's nothing, and it would have been nice to fill that with some shadows here and there, maybe some blades of grass, some flowers, some dirt patches, just so it's not so empty and green. I think what might be an interesting challenge for you sometime is a color palette challenge. Find a color palette that's only got 5 colors on it, of blue and yellow or something like that, and just do that. Just do a whole comic like that just to see what happens. But I like this watercolor technique you're playing with. I know you've been working really hard, and I worked really hard on this. Really cool technique that looks good. So I recommend keep doing that. But I just don't like all of the big blank spaces of basically nothing happening. Reverse werewolf, where he's actually more like a were dude.
A were man.
A were man. And I look forward to fighting you with my werewolf. Fight me. For Nomad.
Yeah. Hellas, I agree with what everyone has said so far. They've pretty much said most of the things that I would have brought up concerning the color use, concerning the shadows, concerning it's the good thing about the character like this is that now you're going to be forced to really start studying animals, because animals and monsters in general have been your weakness up to this point. So it's great to have a character that can let you hyper focus on really making those work in the future. Concerning there, I have one very minor sort of personal nitpick. I did not enjoy the way he sat on the cliff side, just sitting there like a regular person on the cliff side. I figure since he is a wolf first and a human second, he would be sitting like a wolf over the cliff. And it may have been interesting to have him first sitting like a wolf and then have him stand up and show his actual humanoid frame to reveal it afterwards. That's just a personal gripe on my part. Can't wait to see more stuff with this character going forward.
Heck yeah.
I just wanted to throw in a suggestion in terms of drawing wolves, because I also know that they are a complete pain and super hard to draw because of wolves. I would really suggest look. I know that you have reference. I would really recommend that you try and practice realism with drawing wolves before you go back into trying to orient them into your style.
Absolutely.
I would really recommend that you get your hand used to drawing them as accurately as possible with realism, and then breaking down those shapes and then using them into your style. Because when I look at your wolves, I don't mean this with offense. I get this very stocky feel from them. Like a very stocky feel is shared all around with each of the wolves that you've drawn.
They kind of feel like bear.
Yeah, like somewhere in that lane. Like it feels like you're depending a lot on the idea of the texture of the fur, the little like hair line marks you make, that you're dependent on that the idea of the form of a wolf is a little more vague. So I would really suggest just looking directly at reference and just trying your hand at realism for a little bit before hopping back into stylizing them, so that you know what you're not comfortable with, what you are comfortable with, and how to explore outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think most of us... Hello? Testing. Okay.
Testing.
I heard some demonic growling.
I believe it.
I guess it's just Discord. I thought, no, it's not me this time. He was talking.
Okay.
There's a demon in Discord.
I'm gonna add to what Astro said. I think most artists, and I think many of us here on the panel also can agree with it and say with experience that drawing realistically from life will help you when you're trying to draw the same thing fit the same thing into your own style. If you have the chance to take a figure drawing class, if you have the chance to start up a life drawing regimen, I would highly recommend that. It would help you tremendously with translating the real into your style. Any last words?
Vote for Nomad.
Vote for like Superman, honestly. This is outside of voice.
Vote for me.
No, what? No, vote for me.
Shen. No, I was said it first. Fuck you.
No, wait, cool. I'm a camel. I can live off wet water for a week. What can you do, dude?
Adorable.
See? I'm very parched. I haven't drank in a week. Someone Jesus. This isn't a fun power.
Please help me. I'm so thirsty.
That concludes our VCast for today. That's the last comic to review.
Yay! Woo!
Good job, everybody. We like all your comics, and we hope you keep drawing more comics for us to read and talk about.
yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I want to thank Camel and Shen for joining.
You're welcome.
Blowing kisses.
And this has been Pyrasterran.
I'm Master when I didn't forget myself time.
Have a good night,
And
everyone.
this
Good
has
night.
been VCast. I get to end it this time.
Vote for me!
Vote for me!